And hey, everybody, welcome to another Twitch Sports. Look at the new look for the channel. And we are going to be simulcasting with my friends at Twitch Sports. My name is Seth Everett. So glad you are with us. And we are going to put on quite a show for you today. Looking forward to talking about, I don't know, the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is always a massive entity. And, it's something that, we have been doing for 55 years. It is one of those things where ultimately, when I hear that anybody is talking about the big game, the big game, what happens, in my estimation, is that you can see all the hype. But this week is different. This week is weird. This week, people aren't even in Tampa right now. Tonight is Super Bowl Media Day, and it's in, of all places, Zoom. It's a Zoom. It's weird. It's very virtual, and I've had my misgivings about football. I love that we're here. I love that we're at this part, but it's weird. It's really, really weird. And there's no other way to describe it. So I'm glad everybody is checking us out. To all the new people, hello. We have a couple of surprises for you. First of all, if you are looking, that is a live feed. I'm not going to lie. It's not a live feed, but it is a feed. We took it about an hour ago. That's where I am. What is going on in this place? We are in a middle of a blizzard. So my windows are open. We're going to try. We're going to try to get through, but man, you can hear the building I'm in, the house that I'm in, you can hear it shaking. It is so windy, and now it's dark out, and I can't even see my car. It's brutal outside. So what we did was we put that on a loop. And you're going to see that because I want you to be as cold as I am. That's basically how we're going to do this. We're also going to pay a couple of tributes in the first couple of minutes. We're going to do so in a really neat way. COVID has been awful, and the sports world has lost a couple of major players in the last week, one from the world of baseball and one from the world of basketball. The NBA is dealing with the passing of Sekou Smith, who was an NBA attorney and an NBA reporter, broadcaster, also a former player. And Mel Antonin passed away from the baseball world. He had been at USA Today for years, for decades, and most recently was with Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. And recently, we had both of them on shows that I do. We're not going to play them just yet. We're going to, let a couple of more people come in and get a chance to see it. But Mel did a podcast with me. If you look at the top right of my screen, and if you look at the bottom of my channel, you see a purple logo. That is for a podcast called Sports with Friends. Sports with Friends is a podcast that I've been doing since 2015, and it comes out on Wednesdays. And Sports with Friends is just that. I talk to my friends. Now, sometimes my friends are famous. We've had Eli Manning on the show. We've had Ken Griffey Jr. on the show. We've had Greg Norman on the show. We've had so many wonderful people on the show. But back in September, when I knew that Mel was in for a fight with his health, we had Mel Antonin on Sports with Friends. Over the course of the summer, I was doing a Twitch show basically every day. We were doing it with Etan Thomas, the former NBA player, the former Washington Wizard, former Syracuse Orange. And Etan and I had a real good time over the summer. Etan is a basketball insider. He works for basketballnews.com. He's a social activist. He's a wonderful human being and a good friend. And he and I did a show called Center of Attention. And it was a lot of fun. We had a really good time doing that show. And we had Sekou Smith on that show. So what I did was I edited down a couple of minutes each of our interviews, and we're going to have them for you tonight. We're also going to talk to Jeff Eisenband, he of esports and Twitch fame. Jeff Eisenband knows Twitch as well as anybody in the earth. He's going to talk to us about some of the gambling stuff going on. We're also going to talk about some of the other things going on in the sports world. I do have some baseball updates. I have a hockey update. So we have other things. And then we're going to go hardcore into the Super Bowl. Douzable is going to join us, the former lineman. Why did I say linebacker? He's the former lineman, and he is going to be over there. And he is down in Florida, and he's going to break down the situation. So that is what's going on. I see the Twitch sports chat room. You can also come over to my chat room because I see that first. Francesco Marini says, will you stream the Super Bowl? No, that's not how that works. My output is only broadcasting to left channel. How do we fix that? Let's try to see if we can fix that. That would be neat if I could fix that on the fly. That would be awesome if I can do that on the fly. We are going to try. How about this text? Did I fix it? I think I did. How about that? Look at that. I just fixed it. I know my Streamlabs. There we go. Thank you, Corax. We did it. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even see that because what I do, is so funny. Before we started the show, you're a mod now. That's right. What I do when I was testing this, I was getting the monitor in my ear, so there was an echo, and that was going to drive me crazy if I had to do a whole show with an echo. Thankfully, we fixed that, and we took care of it, and hopefully we're not going to have the same problem with our guests, which we're going to put on the screen as well. By the way, I have to say, I love the new graphics. The new graphics look cool as hell. Good job by Streamlabs. I saw this. That was fantastic, and we put this all together today. Building these are a lot of fun, and if you've noticed some of the shows, if you go to my channel and you see some of the shows, now also on the channel you can see there's all kinds of stuff. There's money stuff, there's also podcast stuff, there's Twitch stuff, there's social media, and I have a new Discord channel that I just started, and I can put out the link in my chat room, and you guys can come on. And you know what? If Discord is the way to chat and people wanting to know when I'm coming on and stuff like that, we're going to do just that. You can find out the Seth Everett Discord, and Caleb is in the chat room, and he can verify it works. It works. And if there's a way that he can send the link, I don't know. I can try. I can definitely try to do so. Knee Brace, my guys, I've been on their podcast, and thank you for coming on and rating us. Thank you very much. We'll entertain. I can promise you that. Let's start it off with Sekou Smith. Sekou Smith was, wow. He's just a great NBA insider, and he was a dear friend of Vitan's. I got a chance to know him over the summer, and when we had him on, he was in Atlanta, Georgia, and this clip is going to sound really eerie because he died of COVID, and this was when the bubble was coming on. The two things that we had that I edited out of this, because again, it's only 2 minutes. I only wanted to play 2 minutes of this, but one of the things that we had him on to talk about was the NBA's return going into the bubble at the time. And also, we were going to talk about The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary. So, those two things. It's a longer interview, and like I said, you can find it on this on my Twitch channel. But this is a clip from Sekou Smith. Let's take a listen.
All right, back here on Center of Attention. I want to dress up. I had to change the outfit for Sekou Smith, former NBA player, and currently with us here on Center of Attention. Sekou, first of all, how are you? Are you safe? Are you good? Are you comfortable? Everybody healthy?
Yeah, man, the family's good. We're here in suburban Atlanta, in Marietta, Georgia, sheltering in place, as they say. Getting to know each other all over again. My wife and the kids and I, 2 in college, came home early from school, so we're getting very acquainted and then figuring out our neighborhood. I had no idea how many neighbors I had until the last 6-7 weeks.
Did you feel any temptation to go bowling or get a haircut?
As you see, I obviously no haircut.
No tattoos, huh?
No tats. Didn't get nails done. None of that stuff. We've been to the grocery store. We've been to Costco enough times to last us a lifetime. But other than that, it's been really basic, man. It's been an interesting time because you get a chance to slow down right now at a time when we're used to going, like crazy. Playoff time, I'm usually on the road. I'm gone for 6-7 weeks. And to be home now has been interesting. I think the greatest motivator for anybody is, I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's pee-wee basketball, whatever. Mm-hmm. The greatest motivator for anybody is somebody telling you can't do something.
That's true.
Or doubting you or disrespecting you. It's always been a great motivator.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show today, but be safe in Georgia, especially because
I'm trying to get a haircut, bro. I just want to get a haircut and a shave. I'll be feeling better.
Get your own clippers.
Let's go bowling. We'll continue this conversation. We'll go bowling. It'll be fine.
I should have grew my hair out at the time, like a long time ago. I should have started growing my hair. I wouldn't feel so rough.
So there you have it. That is Sekou Smith. Live here on our Twitch channel, and we had a great time with him. He'd been on a number of different times, and like I said, when talking to him off the air, it really was something very, very special. And R.I.P. He was a really great guy and a really great guest on shows, and just a fantastic. Speaking of guest on shows. Now that I've taken care of the echo, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Mel Antonen was a guy that I've known for 30 years. It really was a tragic thing to see. And again, he had other health issues. Sekou, we didn't know about any other health issues, but with Mel Antonen's case, he is a longtime baseball reporter, and this is a guy who has baseball, for 30 years. And one of the things that you have to recognize with regard to baseball, baseball is about storytelling and storytellers. And the storytellers that are, he was with USA Today. And if you ever stayed in a hotel over the last 30 years, you read Mel Antonen. I mean, there's no way. We're going to do the same thing. It's like a 2-minute clip. This is Mel Antonen, former baseball reporter, and of course, Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, and passed away this weekend, complications from COVID.
Home to the car, having somebody walk in front of your house.
That's wild.
5 minutes before you came, and you could have experienced their droplets. I could have gotten it in a hospital. I don't know. The interesting thing about the COVID was I was one step away from getting the HLH in remission, and the doctor said, we just need one more treatment and you're going to be fine. And then I tested positive for COVID, and I was in bed for 28 days. My immune system was very, very weak. I was having high temperatures. And I kept replaying in my mind, the doctor said, I think your immune system is strong enough to handle it. I think it's strong enough to handle it. But I went to bed every night thinking, I hope my temperature doesn't go up to 104, and I sleep through it.
All I want is for you to just have continued good health. Your story is such a roller coaster, and hopefully this is
one of the things that you'll be able to write a book about, or who knows. You've always been kind to me. You've always been a friend, and you've always pointed things out to me when I was really young and just starting out. You pointed things out about the game. You never said no to a radio show, and for that, I will always appreciate. Mel, I'm so glad you came to do this show.
Well, thank you for having me. As I told you, we tried to line this up, and I kept getting sick, but it wasn't a hassle for me because I knew we'd have a fun time talking, and it was just like old times talking, like you and I on MLB Network Radio. That's so it's a good time. I really appreciate you patient and giving me a chance.
Mel Antonin. So there you have it. And like I said, often I just wanted to start, and talk about those two gentlemen. I want to say thanks to Gaming Dolphin and some of the other folks who have followed this channel. And, of course, you can see us over on Twitch Sports, and I hope that that's all working. I hope the audio is – listen, I'm playing videos from all over the place. I'm trying my best. I'm doing all of that. So we will continue and take a look at exactly what we're doing. But, again – my best to the families of Mel Antonin and Sekou Smith. All right, the Super Bowl this week is coming up, and a lot of people are wondering what it's going to be like. First of all, the fact that Tampa Bay is at home. That's one of the things that I look at with regard to the way people are suggesting, and I just kind of wonder just what that's going to be like. I wonder just how is it going to play out that even though this is supposed to be a neutral site, it's their stadium, it's their place, and there's fans in the stands. And if it was sold out, I would think it would be a much bigger impact, but it's an impact nonetheless. And I think it's really, really strange as far as that is concerned. Now, there's other stuff going on in sports. And before we get back to the Super Bowl, I do want to make a couple of observations. Number one, you're starting to see both in the NBA and in the NHL where the seasons are getting compromised. And there's no secret. It's getting compromised. There's no other way to say it. My beloved team, the New Jersey Devils, and I've actually been to two of their games, they are essentially off and suspended until through Saturday. And that's 3 games that they're going to lose. There's other teams. The Capitals have had to deal with that. There's other teams. In the NBA, there's been other teams. The Celtics had to deal with that. There's a lot of compromising of the schedule. And my old attitude has been, I just wasn't sure we needed this. I didn't think this was something that we absolutely needed. I am not one of those COVID alarmists. I am all for the vaccine. I'm hoping that this is going to be something that eventually we can return to some semblance of normalcy. That's what I want. That's all I want. I want people to be healthy. I want people to be happy. I want all those things going on. And the one thing that we're dealing with, hold on. Do we have audio now? Are we back? Okay, you guys hear me. All right. No, I got a text and I didn't see. The one thing that we have to look at is you have to look at how these teams are dealing with it and how these leagues are dealing with it. And then comes baseball. And baseball was dealing with something that I was not sure about. And, the baseball league doesn't want to start on time. They want to delay a month. They want to play 154 games. And they want to try to do all these different things. And right now, the union said no. The union wants to just start. They just want to play right now. They just want to go. And I'm just like, what in the world? And these guys cannot they can't agree on anything. Now, the baseball, and if you follow me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is right down there. How about that? There's how you follow me on Twitter. My thing has been, I don't want this league to play these games and then bitch about how much money they're losing. That's the attitude that I have had. Don't go out and say everybody's okay and suggest that everything is just hunky-dory and then complain about how much money you've lost. You know, the NHL, when they came on, the NHL did something I thought was really prudent. Gary Bettman, and look, people have mixed emotions on Gary Bettman. I understand that. But Gary Bettman said, we cannot afford to be out of sight, out of mind. And if the hockey season hadn't started yet, I would just basically say, you're right. People would forget. Do you think right now, you folks you're on Twitch, right? We're watching Twitch Sports. We have the Super Bowl coming up. We've got all these things going on. If the NHL, it was just going to disappear, do you genuinely think that we would miss it? And I don't know. And that's my favorite sport. Don't get me wrong. Cowboy Swing says NHL should have gone back to the bubble. I don't know how you do that because the bubble is super expensive. Gary Bettman said, we're going to lose $1 billion, but we can't afford. We can't afford. Thank you to all the new followers here. We can't afford to be out of sight, out of mind. The NBA, they want to play their season because they want to get to their playoffs, and that's their big money. And that's how that works. And I understand that. I see all the sides of it. I understand. But for baseball came out, and baseball said at the very onset of the World Series that they lost $8 billion last year as an entity. I don't know if I buy it. I don't know if I believe it, but they did. And what my question to them has been is, if you're losing so much money, why are you playing? Right. Cowboy Swings. Too many rabid fans in hockey, plus you have to have some semblance of normal lives. Yes. And, the Devils, and I'm just using the Devils because I just read the story, plus that's my team. I just read the story, and they have 10 guys on the COVID list. Like, what's the limit? Yeah, Sunday they had 4. And I could argue they shouldn't have played on Sunday. And I can make that argument. But they played, and, that was fine. I watched them, and I rooted for my team, just like that's all I want. And, even though there's no fans in the Northeast, I have been to games. I'm not saying that to be like a name dropper, but I have credentials. So I've gone to the arena, and I've been in that building. And ultimately, when we look at those people who are, going on this list, like what happens, then what do you do? Do you make these games up? How does that work? And I just think that it's crazy. A million words. That's a lot of snow. Yes, that is a lot of snow, and it's continuing. That was, for those of you who are just joining us, that was about 45 minutes before we went on the air with this Twitch stream. I filmed that. That's right outside my window, and I kept this open. I could probably close that, just because of the glare. But it's wild. It's wild how much this has been. Just this blizzard is something else. And some people are going out and shoveling, and I'm not. I'm on Twitch. I'm hanging out here. I'm not doing that. Cowboy Swings. Yeah, I went to 2 games so far. The first game I went opening night to Boston, and they had no fake crowd sound. And the press area at Prudential Center is at the top of the arena. Right? It's at the top of the arena. And the Bruins scored a goal, and I swear to you, you could hear their bench. That was crazy. Then the other game I went to, the Devils played Philadelphia, and they had this fake crowd sound. And I don't know why they did, but they did. They had this fake crowd sound. And okay, cool. Pandas rock, thank you very much. Adam Glitch, thank you very much. The suggestion was play it static. So here's an example. The Devils are killing a penalty, and they clear at the length of the ice. Now, if there's a full arena, the crowd goes bananas. Like absolutely bananas. That's how that works. They didn't do that. They just had this static noise. So here there's a big clear, and it doesn't change. And the weirdest part about all of it was when the Flyers scored, because I had looked down at my iPad. I was underneath. I had looked at something on my iPad. I was sitting in the press box, and I didn't notice that Philadelphia had scored, because even on the road, when the road team scores, you hear some kind of reaction, a groan, a boo, or something. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Jim is here. Now, yes, we're getting the snow, and you're not. And here, you see that wire right there? That's what my fear is. Because if that wire comes down, this show's over. And it's a pretty secure wire, but man, on days like today, that makes me nervous. That definitely makes me nervous. Oh, holy moly. Cowboy Swing says we have fans at games in Dallas. Yeah, they have fans at Dallas. They have Florida, I've seen. It's crazy. I live in New Jersey, Ethan. I'm in New Jersey, and that's where we are. We're getting pummeled. I mean, pummeled. And, tomorrow I will brave it, and I'll try to shovel. But where was I going? I'm not going anywhere. A Million Words used to live in New Jersey. Where? Where in New Jersey? Yeah, we're in northern Jersey, in Essex County. And that's that blue car. I think that car's blue. That car's toast now. It's wild. It really is pretty wild. It's pretty nuts. How cold is it? It's like 24 degrees outside. Astro Dust in Hoboken. Oh, I love Hoboken. I lived in Hoboken. Hoboken is college for graduates. Love, absolutely. Caleb, what are you doing with the changing the mode? Don't change the mode. Leave it. The Hoboken is so much fun. Shoveling, not fun. Although shoveling and I will listen to podcasts, so I'll be okay. I'll be totally okay. Shoveling is just the worst. Snowblowers. My neighbor has a snowblower, and what happens is I start shoveling, and he just sees me struggling, and he offers. And that's kind of how this has gone. Fire extinguisher. How'd you get that as a Twitch handle? Thanks for the follow. That's a great Twitch handle. In a couple of minutes, we're going to talk to Jeffrey Eisenband. He does the esports. He's all over Twitch. He does fantastic. We're going to hear from him in just a couple of seconds. We're going to do that. And yeah, the weather is god awful. I mean, this is just brutal. In Syracuse, speaking of one of the things that you can look at, I watched the game yesterday. They don't have fake crowd sound, and I kind of like it better. But man, in college basketball, when you're up by like 3 points and you've got 2 minutes left and you're trying to play defense and nobody's chanting defense, it's so weird. It's so weird. It stinks. It's one of the that's pretty bad. That's one of the things. I think the NFL has done a good job dealing with the COVID protocols. They have. There was the story in, I'm looking it up on Twitter. There was the story about the Chiefs. A couple of guys on the Chiefs are in COVID protocol. Where is it? Center David Kilgore and DeMarcus Robinson, the wide receiver, have been placed on the COVID list. And so now, what does that do? Jim says, I love the no fake crowd noise. I do too. Really want to hear how much Boeheim swears. Yeah, they don't have a mic, and he has that weird face shield. He doesn't put a mask on. He puts that face shield on, and it's all well and good. It is the thing. Come on down. Yeah, it's the fake crowd sound. I'm not a fan of fake anything. I don't like fake crowd sound. That's not how I operate. I don't like it for football. I don't like it for any sports. I don't think it's good. If those Kansas City players test negative in 3 days, they're good to go. Okay. That's fine. You know, I'm not saying don't play. I'm not saying anything. I hate that the game is compromised by COVID. That just stinks. And it's one of those things where ultimately when that happens, I never know. I never know, what to make of it. That's kind of the way that goes. And Big Old Bowl of Whack followed this channel. Welcome. Yeah, if you follow this channel, you're welcome. If you have Amazon Prime or if you're a subscriber, subscribe to this channel. And if we have enough subscribers, then what we're going to do is we're going to start doing daily shows. And that's what we're going to plan on doing as well. So we'll look forward to that. In just a couple of minutes, Jeff Eisenband coming up at about 6:30 Eastern Time. We're going to talk to Douzable, former lineman in the NFL, and he's going to preview the Super Bowl. And so we're going to talk specifically Chiefs and Tampa Bay. Chiefs and Tampa Bay. That kind of feels weird, don't you think? It's weird. It's weird. It's one of the weird suggestions that we've gotten. Hold on. Let me just get the copy invite link. And there's the link to that. So there we get all taken care of. And that's not on the screen, right? Okay. Close that down. Nope. We like that. We don't want this. Close. There you go. Admit. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, esports broadcaster, DraftKings host, jack of all trades, master of absolutely all of them. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the great, muted Jeff Eisenband. Jeff, welcome. How are you, buddy?
I thought you were going to say master of nothing. That's where
I was about to, but then you were muted, and I said, you know what? I could work the word muted right into it. So that was the way we were going to pull this off. How are you, man?
I'm good. I jumped in just now. What were you talking about COVID in relation to the Super Bowl or to the NHL right now?
Well, we were touching on the Super Bowl. We can start with the Super Bowl. The NHL thing was what started the conversation. But two players on Kansas City are in the protocol. And now, it's Monday and we're already starting with this nonsense. And obviously getting put in the protocol on a Monday is better than, Thursday or Friday, just like an injury. Thursday or Friday would be devastating. What I don't want is this game of all games, to be compromised by positive tests. Because if you're a fan of both teams, or if you have money on both teams, your initial reaction, every day you're checking Twitter, every minute you're checking Twitter, because you don't want something that's going to give the team that you're rooting for some kind of disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying. I guess, we're trying to figure out With the NFL, I'm just wondering how overprotective the league is being right now, right? On every single player. Remember, the Chiefs aren't in Tampa Bay yet, which is different than a normal Super Bowl. So, I'm not ready to get alarmed about anything just because I feel like there might be that, your cousin's wife's friend had it. So we need to pull this linebacker out for a day of practice.
It's odd, and what I just hope is that it can be a normal game. How much do you think the fact that it's in Tampa favors the Bucs? And it would be a very different question if there was a full building, but it's far from a full building, and it's 20,000 people or 22,000 people, whatever the actual number is. I mean, that's a hockey arena. That's not a football stadium. So this is the Super Bowl. And, when I say 20,000 people makes a big difference in a regular season game, yeah, but that's the regular season. This is supposed to be the Super Bowl.
No, I said on Hall of Trivia on HQ this week, I said, right, we did this Super Bowl thing 54 times, and we never had the home team play in their own stadium. The one year that we get the home team in their own stadium is the one year that we can't actually have a full stadium. I mean, the irony is crazy. Look, first of all, the Chiefs won in Tampa Bay earlier this year, and they did have some fans at that game. So that's your first note that Kansas City was able to go into Tampa Bay and get that win. I think that it would be a lot different with a full house of screaming fans, although it would not be as dominant of a presence as a normal Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, because Seth, this, the corporate, there would be a lot of suits. The Super Bowl is a lot of suits, a lot of people in boxes, a lot of people who, a lot of NFL partners who get those seats. So it's not exactly the crazy home field that you might expect, but the benefit here is that Tampa Bay doesn't have to travel to this game. Although Patrick Mahomes also said this is going to be so much easier than last year's Super Bowl when the Chiefs had to do all the media accessibility during the week. Now they're just, it's basically like it's like a normal game week, well, it's not even, but Seth, it's not even the same amount of press that you would normally do. We know, being on Radio Rows in the past and things. I mean, I've sat there at Super Bowls and wondered, how do these guys even have enough time to practice? If you're Patrick Mahomes, you're doing a press conference every day that probably isn't where you practice. So they're moving if this was the Minnesota Super Bowl, right? In the middle of 0-degree weather, you've got the teams practicing and then being shuttled over to Mall of America, which is 15 to 20 minutes from where they're practicing and staying, and they're moving around. You don't have to deal with any of that right now.
How many Super Bowls have you been to, and which ones were they?
I'm glad to say that I'm old enough that I have to think about that number.
Oh, you've been to a number of Super Bowls. I've been to 2.
Yeah, I think that I've been in the Super Bowl city 5 or 6 times, but I've actually only been inside on game day once.
Which game was that?
Once. The Giants Patriots, the second one, Super Bowl 46. Now part of that is, and this is, if we're not going to have, I don't want to just be in the stadium also not as press. To me, that's almost, not to sound spoiled about it, but, I need to be covering the game. So, but I've been at 5 media days, probably
Radio
5
Rows,
Radio Rows. Right. Yeah. Which are, they're circuses. I always refer to them as Comic-Con for sports and not just the NFL. I mean, I was looking through I posted on Twitter, No Context Radio, Super Bowl Radio Row. And I think I posted like a picture of me with JoJo Siwa, the Disney star. I've got Kel Mitchell on my phone. I've got Busta Rhymes here, Jeff Gordon, Corey Brewer showed up once. I mean, Kyle Schwarber. It's just whoever's trying to get
random
press.
People hawking things, and I mean, it's ridiculous. The 2 Super Bowls.
I love it. By the way, a lot of people disagree with me. I love it.
No, I'm young. I get you. The 2 Super Bowls that I did, the New York one, and I'm wearing that shirt. And there's a crazy story from that, if you'll indulge me.
Of course.
The Meadowlands. So I live 20 minutes from the Meadowlands. You live near me, and so I'm
a nomad at this point.
Okay. So I live 20 minutes from the Meadowlands, and at the end of that regular season, like week 14, in my career, I covered the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. And I left both franchises on great terms, and I called the program directors of the two radio stations, and I said, hey, if your team happens to make it, I live 20 minutes from here, I'll cover your team. Hire me for the week. I'll cover your team, and that's one less person you have to travel, and or just an extra body. I'll just hang out. I don't need anything important. And they both said yes. And so on Championship Sunday, the Denver Broncos make the Super Bowl, and then the Seattle Seahawks make the Super Bowl, and I'm covering both teams. And the way this all went, so fast forward to Sunday, my credential was with the Broncos. But I covered the Seahawks too. And if you remember that game, it's a blowout, and I won an Academy Award for the
43-8, I think.
The acting job that I pulled off. I'm sitting in the auxiliary press box in the section with all the Denver media, and they're all like, this is awful. This is garbage. This is awful. And I'm like, yeah, but the Seahawks are winning. So I text every friend I had in the Seattle media, and I go, is there an empty seat near you? And there was. And I said, I can't watch this. And I stormed off, and I brought my bag, and I looked to make sure nobody was looking, and I came and I sat down, and I went, all right, here we go. And then after the game, I went down to the Seahawks locker room, but I realized that my car was at the Broncos hotel and that I could catch a media shuttle, but I had to go with the Denver contingent. And I had just been in the Seahawks locker room, and I walk over, and then I changed, and I just went, rough night. Yeah, rough night. I was a phony baloney. I was a fraud the whole night, rooting for both teams. It was such a joke, but that was the Super Bowl. The other Super Bowl that I covered was Super Bowl 32 way back in 1998 in San Diego when Elway beat the Packers. That's a classic. That's a classic game.
So I've heard. I was young. What was that? That was February 1998. Was that?
I think it was
January. I guess January. January. The Super Bowl was still in January back then. I'm old enough to remember when the Super Bowl was in January.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the only two Super Bowls that I've covered, and it was weird. It was ridiculous. Yes, it is really snowing. It's not just blowing. It is really coming down. We have about 1.5 feet of snow right now. I'm showing video of about 45 minutes before we went on the air, and it looks just ridiculous. It's just brutal going on. All right, so transition to the hockey. So let's just talk about New Jersey, just because we're in New Jersey, or I'm in New Jersey. You're not. Yeah, on Sunday, the Devils had 4 players on the COVID list, but they played. And with contact tracing, I just don't understand how there were 18 guys that were completely clean. And now, suddenly the next day, 6 more guys get added to the list, and now the list is at 10, and they're canceling games. And my question about this is how are we figuring this out? What is determining this list? And the Devils are not the only team that's dealing with this. Washington dealt with this. Other teams have canceled games. What do you make of all this?
Well, first of all, I can't get myself in too much trouble, right? I am employed to
go Devils.
I know. Yeah. But I think, look, I think everyone expected the NHL.
I'm not blaming the Devils for getting 10 guys. I'm not saying they had like a super spreader.
No, it's not their fault. I mean, look, you look across sports right now, the NBA, look at the NHL. And I think that everyone kind of predicted it's going to be like the beginning was for MLB, right? That beginning. Remember when the Cardinals and the Phillies and the Marlins, and we weren't sure if anyone was going to be able to play because, you almost, as these teams need to figure out how tight things have to be. And I know the NHL has gone out of its way to, make sure that everyone is staying as local as possible. I mean, look, the New York, the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils barely have to, they can sleep in their own think about it, they have 7 opponents this year. For 2 of them, they can sleep in their own beds.
Yep.
In Philadelphia, we're talking about probably getting on a team bus. So no one is even going to get in a plane or anything like that. But I think it's just that it's shown, we're not doctors, but I think this virus has shown no matter what you do, there are people out there who claim that they've done everything. They've masked up, they've stayed home, they've done everything. And you can only cut the percentages as much as you possibly can. So I think on top of that, the NHL and NBA right now are probably being even more conservative about things than than MLB was at the beginning. I think with the Devils, something like, look, the next 2 games we're going to be in Pittsburgh. I mean, you're part of the way the NHL structured the schedule. You almost always have these back-to-backs. So it's easy to be conservative and cancel those 2 games in Pittsburgh and make them up a different time. You know what I'm saying? Like, as opposed to trying it out and then you split a game and then you can't play the second game or what the situation is.
The weird part about this is, and I understood it from the hockey version, is to me this all ties to the Olympics, because the Olympics are coming and NBC is the network of the Olympics. In the NBA's
Are we
case,
talking about the summer or winter Olympics?
The Summer Olympics, the postponed Olympics in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
The Olympics are coming and the NBA needs to finish their season so that the NBA players can participate in this Olympics. The NHL's not participating in this Olympics, but NBC is, and NBC has basically said to them, we're not airing any of your playoff games if you're playing while the Olympics are going. So factoring in both of them, you hear all these conflicting reports about Tokyo. If Tokyo were to cancel, do you think either sport would go on pause?
You're saying because now they have the timetable
because now you have the freedom.
I just don't think that anyone's at the professional level. I just don't see the pausing happening because I don't think it would really do that much. I think that we're going to, it's a question of with the NHL, like, the Devils got these 3 games postponed. Is the NHL going to tack those on to the end of the season, or are the Devils going to play it? Is there potential that you have teams playing 3 days in a row, which is unprecedented in the NHL? Because the NBA, right, only released half their schedule. So the NBA can reanalyze everything and say, okay, Memphis Grizzlies need to make up 5 more games than everyone else. So we're going to have to give them a bunch of back-to-backs and we're going to have to restructure this the second half of the season. The NHL didn't do that, but the NHL has the benefit of all of the games being local. So they can rearrange things and,
you can
everyone's
add a game
close.
here and add a game there and nobody's travel is getting compromised.
I mean, I forgot the exact numbers, but you're playing you're playing every team 8 times.
Yeah, it's 7
right?
teams, 8 times, right?
Yeah, so you can figure it out. And I mean, we're talking right now a little bit about the Devils and Capitals. I mean, these teams play all 8 teams in this East Division play so close to each other. It's not going to be the most difficult thing in the world, but you're right. There's a timetable here. This can't go on forever. And I think the other thing that these sports are thinking about, and a lot of people said, oh, well, the NBA, they might have found, unlock something, maybe finish the NBA season later. The NBA wants to get back on schedule. The NHL wants to get back on schedule. They're looking at this next 2 to 3 year outlook of, how do we end up in 2023 back on schedule? That I think there's in the back of their mind, that's what everyone's thinking about.
Well, it's strange. And then there's baseball, and baseball comes into this whole thing. And, what the league is proposing is delaying a month because they want to have as many games as possible with people in the building. Mm-hmm. They want fans. And my whole thing on baseball is you don't have to go down this dark path. All the NBA and NHL have been talking about are losses, and I feel bad, and I hate the empty arenas. I hate it. I've watched college basketball. I see empty arenas. I hate it. I hate being at the NHL games. I've been to 2 Devils games, and whether it's fake crowd sound in one game and no crowd sound in the other. And Jeff, I'm telling you, I was literally in the press box in the top of the Prudential Center. The Bruins scored a goal, and I swear to you, you could hear the Bruins bench. It's so quiet in that building. It's so weird, and I don't want that for baseball. What I would say for baseball is cut your losses, start in July, but with the ballpark's full. And let's give them a chance. Let's give them a hope. And if you could do that, that to me makes a lot more sense. And that's what the league is thinking. And the union's like, nope, we're getting full money. We're starting, by the way, in 10 days. Come hell or high water.
Well, look, I think that there's two sides to this, because I think that MLB also, I think that, you don't want to, you want to keep the sanctity of the season as much as possible. And I think a lot of people around, I think MLB got a bad rap last year for, is this a real season?
It was hodgepodge.
I think, yeah, but look, the NHL is playing what we said, 56 games this year. They usually play 82. But it's still more than half the season. I mean, the way MLB had a 60 game schedule, and they normally play 162, and you had teams like the Cardinals playing 45 to 48 games. I mean, it's just not, it doesn't feel like a real season. So I think that they find they're going to generate more interest. They're going to have more games to put on TV, which TV money means more than crowd money nowadays. They want to have and the players want a full season too. I think, I think the players want to feel like they're actually putting out a product out there, not for themselves. I understand the economics of it, but they need that sort of, they're not even taking it seriously. It feels like the way that that everything's going so short. But look, baseball, we don't know where we're going to be in a few months. We hope that X amount of the population is vaccinated by, say, let's say by June, and right. We still have half the an MLB season. I don't know how MLB will feel. I don't know if we'll still be at 50% capacity or something like that. I expect the first stadiums in the U.S. to start selling out again. NFL or college football, I guess. Right. I guess college football and NFL opening week, because I think that money means so much more. I think that they know they've already had their COVID-stricken full season. They're going to want everything. I'm not telling anyone you have to go, but I can guarantee you that Alabama's football stadium
will be full,
and
right.
LSU, and the Dallas Cowboys stadium
LSU
will be full. There will be people that go to these games. But I think that's where MLB maybe thinks that halfway through the season they can start. I mean, remember, there were fans in the stands in Texas this year.
Yep.
There were fans was the World Series in it was in Texas,
Arlington,
right?
Yep.
Or it was there were fans there. They weren't fans really of the teams, nope. But there were fans there.
Well, there were Texas Rangers fans that said, "Oh, yeah. I want to see my ballpark, and this is the first chance it's open." And yeah, it was bizarre. My only argument for baseball, and the difference between baseball and what I'm seeing from a other sports standpoint, is baseball to me has a CBA coming. Like, their collective bargaining agreement expires at the end of the season, and you want to have another season where you lose $8 to $10 billion and then ask the players to take the hit for that, and you're better off not playing. My whole argument against 2020 was, if you didn't play and you blamed it on COVID, if you think about the timing of the season, when the baseball season started, we had already seen the NBA and the NHL return, and football was right around the corner. The vitriol that you would have seen, like, oh, how could these, money-grubbing people not play? If you think that was vitriol, just wait till we have a vaccine. We have sold-out ballparks, and you have a labor stoppage because these guys don't have a collective bargaining agreement. I would have canceled 2020, and 2020 sucked anyway.
Yeah,
Lock
but it's
yourselves
done.
in a
It's
room,
done.
quarantine
It's done.
for 14 days, and get a CBA. Well, now you're in this situation where I would do the same thing. I would delay till July and get your negotiating going. What are you not taking advantage of this time?
Because I think you're losing so much of the interest in the sport. And I think you have to take away the business side of it for a second, the business side between the two negotiations. Yeah. And baseball is just if baseball has 2 seasons that aren't quote unquote real seasons. I mean, what we talk about this, what is the power that baseball still has? Statistics, right? baseball still has the history. And if you're taken away from a guy like Mike Trout in his prime, the sanctity of the 162 game season, I think that's the type of stuff that is really going to alienate a lot of the hardcore fans. And I think that, baseball needs that stuff to happen. I think that they're going to try to make it happen. By the way, Seth, we're also not talking about, let's say, able-bodied general population. We're talking about people who want the vaccine being vaccinated by, say, June. That doesn't mean that MLB doesn't have every player vaccinated by the end of April, let's say. And I think that sports, we have to remember, are going to change a little bit. Imagine what's going on right now with sports. You still can't get fans in there, but imagine the players not having to worry about what we're talking about stopping playing and anything like that, because the athletes will be vaccinated. I think that's a whole other conversation for the Olympics. Right. And again, we're not
Japan
doctors.
Doesn't even have their vaccine yet.
But Japan also has, the benefit of lower numbers right now. Look, right, the Australian Open, by the way, you want to talk about something interesting. I think the Australian Open is letting in 30,000 fans per day.
I saw.
Australia has 0 cases.
They have 0 cases.
0 cases.
Right.
So,
the only restrictions they have are travel. You can't leave Australia and you can't come to Australia.
I get it.
I tried.
And that's why,
I was going to do this show from Adelaide. That was my plan.
But look, that's why, there were a few tennis players complained. Look at what's going on there. I know, of course, Florida was like, we'll host the Olympics here. Big joke. Why not? If anything, it's can the IOC pay Australia if they really want to do the Olympics there? Just do it and just send the athletes there and they'll quarantine and hopefully you do it safely.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you. Do you think, last thing, do you think COVID becomes a major headline this week during the Super Bowl? Or do you think it's just, we haven't seen football in 8 days, 2 guys on the Chiefs just went on the COVID list? Do you think by Thursday or Friday, Super Bowl hype is what you have come to expect?
I don't think COVID's going to be a major storyline, and here's why. Because even if I think they're going to do enough that the players, it's not going to be a problem with the players. Do I think there will be a trainer or a coach or someone, that happened at the beginning of this playoffs that isn't in the stadium on Sunday because of, a COVID restriction, not even because they have it, but because there's, a significant other or family member has it? Yes. I don't think it's going to be blown out of proportion. Also, because I don't think the media wants to blow it out of proportion unless it's really, really like something crazy happens. Like unless, if Patrick Mahomes tests positive for COVID, I think America will say, look, NFL, do what you got to do to wait 2 weeks to play this game. No, just wait to play this game. Like, who cares?
I see. Don't play the game.
Just everyone stay away from Patrick, or Tom Brady gets it. Like, give us 2 weeks. I really don't think that's going to happen, because I really think that the teams themselves have done their due diligence. But I know you got to go to the next guest, but one side storyline, I saw something that was like CBS is about to wrap Jim Nantz up in bubble wrap. Like they're shipping him to Tampa for the Super Bowl. Then they got to get him to Indianapolis to do March Madness. Yep. And then, the Masters is like, we don't care about those 2 things. You just have to make sure this guy can get to Augusta right after March Madness. So, him and Romo aren't even seeing each other until right up until the Super Bowl. They are protecting. Jim Nantz is CBS's. I don't know. He might be more valuable than some of the players in this Super Bowl right now.
My guy at Westwood One told me, and we'll end on this. My guy at Westwood One said that they have a person credentialed and cleared COVID-wise for every position on the radio broadcast, from Kevin Harlan to Tony Baselli to Kurt Warner, Jim Gray. Like, everybody has a backup, so that everything is interchangeable parts. It's crazy. It's a crazy time. Jeff, you're the best. Thank you so much for doing this. Keep up the great work. I swear to you, I pause every time. You're on the Devils games all the time. I turn it on, and I go, well, I know that guy. And I try to screen grab it, and I never do.
Well, you need a remote that can rewind then, first of all. Second of all, I'm open this week because apparently I get paid. I get paid by the game, and apparently my week's pretty free. Well, I hope they get made up, right?
I shouldn't be laughing, but that's funny.
I'm sure you've been there before.
Yeah, yes, this whole season. All right, Jeff Eisenband, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Twitch Sports Show. Our next guest is, of course, a former NFL lineman. He took over this channel just a couple of weeks ago for the NFL playoffs. Leger Douzable is with us, of course, the former NFL linebacker, and he is now on the show. Yes, as Jim says, you'd have to laugh, otherwise you would go crazy. And that is one thing that we're getting together. All right. He can't hear us yet. He's now he can hear us. He's muted and he's back. And my man, welcome back to the show. How have you been? How's Florida? Do you have Super Bowl fever?
I'm doing well, Seth. Thanks for having me on again. And Florida's actually kind of cold right now. It's a lot colder than I thought it would be right now.
Yeah, I'll text you the pictures. We're under 1.5 feet of snow. Yeah, my whole day tomorrow is shoveling. There'll be no Twitch shows tomorrow. I will be shoveling all day. It's brutal. There were two players. For those of you who are just joining us, I just had it, and I want to make sure that I give the information correctly. There were two players that went on the COVID list from the Kansas City Chiefs, Daniel Kilgore and Demarcus Robinson. Again, in 3 days, if they have negative tests, they're back. You can't say this is going to impact the game or not. I don't know. I ended my last interview, and I'll ask you the same question. Do you think COVID is a major headline as we get closer to the Super Bowl?
I mean, of course, it has to be a major headline with, close contact tracing and everything. I believe this is why these two players went on the COVID list. And you have to see how many players they were around because, we've seen instances earlier in the year where guys were around the quarterback room, more specifically in Denver. Yeah. Those guys were around each other with no mask. And because one person had it, the rest of them couldn't play the game. So this could play a factor. I mean, this is a different Super Bowl. A lot of these teams would have been already here already. Partaking in all the festivities that go along with Super Bowl. And I think opening night would have been the night, which is a major factor in the NFL. And when it comes to the Super Bowl, a lot of that is different this year because everything is done virtually. But if these players are around other teammates, then they're going to get hit with close contact and tracing. So it could affect the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see what happens in the next few days if any other players from the team actually go on the list.
What about the idea that there are fans there, but it's not a full stadium, and the Bucs are the home team? How much of a home field advantage does Tampa Bay get, and how weird must it be to be in your home stadium and they're not going to have a Tampa Bay home game? It's not going to be a normal Tampa Bay home game, even though they're in their building.
Yeah, I've gotten this question a lot the last week and a half, getting ready for the Super Bowl. And to me, it's
trying to say I don't have original questions anymore.
Nah, Seth. No, I'm just saying it's a big plus for Tampa Bay now. As far as what happens on Sunday, they won't get that home field crowd, right? But as far as, routines, we as athletes are routine creatures. We like to have our routine intact. And these guys, knowing that they can be here, like I said, usually you will leave a week early to play in the city that you're playing in for the Super Bowl, but they're going to be able to see all their same masseuse therapists, all their acupuncturists, all the people that work on them with stretching. They're going to see those same exact people because their Super Bowl's in their backyard. So to me, that gives them a slight edge over Kansas City because you would usually have to figure out the logistics and fly some of those people in and out. But now Tampa doesn't have to do that because they'll be using their own facility. They'll be practicing where they practice every day. They get to, I don't know how Bruce Arians is doing it, but I'm pretty sure he's got them going home. And then probably as it gets closer to the game day, he'll have them come to the hotel. But they get to go home, sleep in their own beds. Usually you're away from everybody for a week, your family and everything. And you'll get to see them, on some off times. But usually, they have a long list of things you have to do during Super Bowl week. But Tampa Bay will already be engulfed in their system, and them being home to me is a big advantage. Not because of the fans on the game on Sunday, because it'll be split 50-50, but because of, being creatures of habit and getting to do what they do week in and week out basis.
The easy analysis, the simplified, dumb it down analysis of this game is Tampa's hot, Kansas City's better. Sometimes it's better to be hot than good. Yeah. Is there an edge going in that in your mind to Tampa, you can factor in the home part, but just this idea that they're just playing better than they were, even though if I looked at both rosters and I had to break down both rosters, I would say Kansas City's a better team. And if they were to play each other 8 out of 10 times, Kansas City would win, but you don't know because they're only playing once.
Yeah, I liken it to like the 3 losses Tom Brady's had in the Super Bowl. If you look at the Giants teams that played him in the Super Bowl, those teams were the hottest teams going into the playoffs. I believe they both were like 5 or 6 seeds going into the playoffs, but they got hot at the right time. And I always say you want to be playing your best football end of November, beginning of December, making that ride into the playoffs. And that's what Tampa Bay has done.
And a guy caught a ball in his helmet.
You said what?
And a guy caught a ball in his helmet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, but before that game, that low-scoring game, you know, the Giants were one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs. And if you look at the Philadelphia team, when Carson Wentz went down, you know, Nick Foles comes in, and they were one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs. I mean, granted, they were the number 1 seed, but they were playing some of their best football down the stretch going into the playoffs. And teams that are uniquely hotter going into the playoffs sometimes could beat teams that are more talented, you know, quote unquote, by the roster and on paper. So to me, I think, like I said, Tampa being home, being comfortable gives them a slight edge in that factor. I do believe that Kansas City is a little bit more talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But the way these pass rushers from Tampa have been playing, man, this is going to be a good one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think it's going to come down to the last possession, whoever has the ball last.
Do you think, you know what buzz is, right? Like you're no stranger. Do you think that this game has all the bells and whistles, the buzz that a normal Super Bowl has? In the third quarter of this game, is this going to feel like this is one of the best days of the sports calendar, or is this going to feel different because this season has been different?
I think it'll have the same buzz because of the 2 quarterbacks playing in the game, right? You look at it, you got the GOAT in Tom Brady, and you got a guy that potentially coming for that crown in the future if this team stays together, which on paper and financially, it looks like it can stay together because a lot of guys took team-friendly deals for this team to stay around together for the next 3 to 5 years. Most of their star players are on contract for the next 3 to 5 years. So, yeah, I think it'll have all the buzz. Will it have as much energy? Probably not, right, Steph? Because you won't see the crowd as you would normally see it packed, you know, shoulder to shoulder and everything. And the halftime show will probably be a lot different than it's been in the past. But as far as the buzz, I think this is a big buzz because people have already said it. This is like Michael Jordan versus LeBron. You know, Michael Jordan is the GOAT. LeBron is a guy coming up trying to get to that GOAT status and catch him. And that's kind of like what Mahomes is doing right now. This team, if Mahomes wins this team, I talked about this earlier through the week, you have to talk about this team being a dynasty, right? You look at it, the 3 years he started, the 1 year he started in 2018, he goes to the AFC Championship game. He only lost that game because he didn't touch the ball in overtime. Tom Brady took his team down. They scored a touchdown and win that game in overtime in the AFC Championship game. The next year, he wins the Super Bowl.
God, that feels like a lifetime ago.
It feels like forever ago, but really it was only like 2 years ago. And then you look at it last year, they win the Super Bowl. And if they could win the Super Bowl this year, you have to talk about a miniature dynasty. And like I said, with the players on their roster and the way that roster is shaped up, most of their star players are coming back for the next 3 to 5 years. But adversely, if you look at Tom Brady, to me, if he wins this Super Bowl, this is the greatest Super Bowl in Tom Brady's career. If you look at all the things that he went through this offseason, leaving a team you've been with for 20 years is a hard thing to do, right? And then to go to Tampa Bay, a team that routinely loses, one of the longest losing, I think, franchises in NFL history. He goes to that team. They were 7-9 last year. Gets them into the playoffs this year. Everybody's elevated their game. Shortened offseason, no training camp, no preseason games to get that continuity that you need on offense. And this guy takes them to the Super Bowl. If he wins this Super Bowl, even though he's already won 6, to me, this is the greatest one Tom Brady's ever won.
I couldn't get over he won at Lambeau. I watched the game and I still can't get over.
Winning too. I didn't. What he did in the first half was ridiculous. For somebody to be 40 plus years old and putting the ball where he wanted to put the ball practically is what he was doing. It just made no sense for somebody to be 40 something and still doing that. Now the second half, they got after him a little bit, but that first half, he was impeccable.
Yeah, he was. I don't, forgive me for not knowing this, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. Have you done any of the radio rows at the Super Bowl? Tell me about which ones, how many, and if it's a handful, but which ones, which Super Bowls have you been to?
Man, from when I was a player, I started doing Radio Row probably year 2 or 3 because I knew I wanted to.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I went to college for this. Yeah. So I went to college for this. So I knew that, getting into Radio Row was going to be a good way to make some connections and just to get on film because, a lot of these evaluators look at how you interview before they decide to, put you as an analyst. So I wanted to do that as much as possible. So I would say since year 2 or 3, I've been doing Radio Row. And then when I retired 2 years ago, I went to every one. It would have been perfect for me to do this one this year, being this is in my home city, Tampa Bay, where I'm from. And I was going to have a nice setup at Radio Row. Anything is Douzable podcast. And, but, with COVID and everything going on, we're going to do everything virtual. And that's just, the times we're in. And 2020 is just weird times, man. And I talked to somebody that was there, and he said it was like a ghost town. So after talking to my agents and everything, they were like, it makes no sense to even go there because everybody we knew was going to be doing everything virtual from their studios, whether it's LA, New York, or the studios down here at CBS HQ down in Fort Lauderdale. So everybody's doing their thing virtually. There will be a few of those major networks send a few people there, but the majority of people are doing everything virtually.
Well, and I got the emails, because we're on the media list, and I got the emails about all the Zooms tonight for NFL Media Day, and I've covered those. I've covered 2 of those. I mean, I'm a little older than you. I'll say this. Yes, there's a major difference between 2013, the New York Super Bowl, and 1998 when I covered the Broncos beating the Packers. And, that was very, very different. And I was at Radio Row, both of those. And those are the only 2 Super Bowls that I've been to. But the Zooms, I don't know, man. These Zooms are getting tired. I'm bored of them. Dustin Pedroia announced his retirement today, right? That's a player I've respected over the years. Here's a Zoom link. You can go on the Zoom. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that
how much sitting can you do to watch the
is
Zooms?
What's really needed.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like it's already hurt. I think it's hurting our kids more than anything, especially when it comes to school. Everybody's already on their phone 24 hours a day. It's going to be soon where people aren't going to know how to talk to each other face to face and know how to interact and have a conversation because it's going to be like, well, we have a meeting. Okay, we're going to do it face to face. No, it'll be on Zoom. Even when, everything is all right outside, it's because everybody's used to this now and it's kind of sad. So hopefully we get back to the days when we can have that. I like to have that face to face interaction. I think it means so much more.
Oh, I totally agree. The other sports, and I just wanted to ask you the other sports are in these weird spots. For those of you just joining us, just to put some context, the Olympics are supposed to happen in July, right? The Olympics.
Yeah, I saw that.
And in the NBA situation, the players want to play in that Olympics. So the NBA needs to finish their season. And in the NHL, they're not playing in this Olympics, but they're on NBC, and NBC said, hey, listen, if you're still going when the Olympics come, we're not carrying your games. Our bandwidth is maxed out on the Olympics. So both of these sports are in like these races to get done by the Olympics. But the Olympics is in flux. No one knows what the story of the Olympics is. And I don't know. I'm not going to guess. I think it's going to get played just because there's a lot of money at stake. And I always, lean towards the money. But both of these sports have had teams shut down. Like 10 guys on a COVID list. The team can't play. And I'm just like, that compromises all the competition. And I wonder about that. Baseball, I didn't feel as passionate about it because I thought baseball was hodgepodge to begin. What's your thought on these sports? And did they make mistakes starting when they did?
I think we all started too early, but I think we're at the point of no return now. It's kind of like the NFL said, the season's going to carry on no matter what. And applaud to NFL and everybody working behind the scenes. We got to the end, right? We have one more game to go. Let me knock on wood. I don't want to jinx anything because we've already had 2 players, test positive or not test positive, but close contact on the COVID list. But we've made it to the end. And, the NFL's actually put out a really decent or good product on the field. I think a lot of people were surprised at how that happened. I think NBA is just a little different, right? They travel way more than any other sports besides probably baseball. To me, the bubble worked perfectly, right? Why go away from that? If things ease up, and the number count goes down as far as people testing positive, then you might open up your arenas and things like that. But to me, it seems like they're going to end up going back to a bubble to finish the season on time, because if they don't, it seems like they could, drag the season out. And like you said, it could be an issue when it comes to the Olympics.
It should be, and it's different. It's just a strange thing, and I'm not the way it's coming. It's not a criticism. It's not like, oh my God, NBA, how dare you? What's going on? That's not what it is. It's just I wonder how they're pulling this off, and in these circumstances, remember you and I had this conversation earlier when it was college. And college was doing whatever it damn well wanted. Like, there was no rules, and they just did what they did. Whereas when it comes to the NBA and the NHL, I just like to think that smart people are making these decisions, kind of like what the NFL did. The NFL was happening. There's no secret. And if the NFL is any hint as to what's going to happen at the Olympics, they're playing. They're going to find a way to play because there's too much at stake.
Yeah, 100%. But even in the beginning of the NFL season, people were kind of upset with some of the rules. I remember the players came out. They were like, we need to know the protocols and what's going on, because there was no clear cut, instruction manual on what to do. And granted, the NFL really couldn't make one because we had never been in this situation before. So it's kind of hard for you to have a clear cut, this is what we're going to do. But then when this happens, how are we going to, you got to, like Mom always says, you got to be ready for variable change. And with COVID, there's a lot of variable change. And I would say I have to credit the NFL for being able to put out a good product on the field, and a product that the fans could be proud of during these times, during these trying times. And college, that was a whole different thing, because you're talking about 130, 140 kids on the college football team, the protocols for that. And you're telling 18 to 22-year-olds that they have to stay home. And, I called the UCF games. I applauded all those kids because I believe we were the only team to play every game when it was actually scheduled to be played. And I believe we were the first team to finish in college football because we played every game when it was scheduled to be played. So I had to give a kudos to my alma mater, UCF, and the support staff for doing everything they wanted to do, and those kids for being grown up and understanding this is a business. Once you sign over to a college, a lot of kids
but even though they didn't get paid, it's a business. Like that's
exactly. I mean, it's true. It sucks. It really does. But like I try to tell high school kids this all the time when they sign somewhere. You shouldn't sign somewhere because that school has cool colors, or you like it's Nike or Adidas. It's a business. It's honestly a business decision, right? If you have the aspirations of going to the next level, then you have to know, what that program is about and what you're there to do. And also, if you don't feel like you can go to the next level, you're trying to get an education, you need to go to the best educational school possible then if you're getting a 4-year degree, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. They're using you. You need to make sure you use them back.
I want to ask you your pick, but I thought of one other aspect of the Super Bowl that we neglected. Does Bill Belichick watch this game?
I think Bill Belichick watches every game. Like, he's always studying. He's like the mad scientist, right? I mean, I'm not going to say he's
like
the happiest
Gene Wilder
camper.
and Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's the happiest of campers because Tom Brady in year one. I mean, he probably figured in year 2 or 3, Brady might make a move to the Super Bowl. But in year 1 to leave.
He'll be 45.
Yeah. He says he's taking off that 2022 expiration date, supposedly, that he might even play past that, which is really absurd if you ask me.
Crazy.
But I know Brett Belichick will say he didn't watch the game, but trust me, he's watching that game. And also, I put it out there earlier this week, said don't be surprised if you hear New England in trade talks with San Fran to get Jimmy G back. That's the guy Belichick wanted all along, the guy he wanted to mold the team around. Ultimately, they kept Tom Brady because Robert Kraft was like, you're not getting rid of Tom Brady. And it worked for both sides, right? 2018, New England wins the Super Bowl. 2019, Jimmy G takes San Francisco to the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens this offseason. There's going to be a lot of trades, a lot of cuts because the cap number is going way down this year. So there's so many players that their cap number is ridiculous and teams aren't going to be able to afford to pay them.
Do you think Deshaun Watson gets traded?
He's coming to the Jets, man.
Come on.
I'm telling you.
You're going to trade? They're going to trade number 2? They're going to trade the number 2 pick?
Yeah. Wouldn't you trade the number 2 pick for Deshaun Watson?
Of course I would.
Oh, okay.
From a Jets perspective, sure.
Right? You look at Miami. Everybody's saying Miami's a destination, but you just took 2 in the top 5. Are you willing to just give up on him after 1 year?
On He's the number 1 selling jersey.
Like, there's a reason everybody was saying tank for 2, and now all of a sudden the kid can't play in half a season. Like,
agreed.
To me, that's hogwash. To me, the Jets is the best destination. He's already rumored to have said that that's where he would want to go. And then with the cap space the Jets are gonna have, he could actually bring in some other star players in there. And if you give up 3 first-round picks and Sam Darnold, I think that's a fair trade. Plus, the Jets will still have 2 first-round picks in the next 5 years, plus all second and third-round picks to build through that. I mean, there's so many
reasons to do it. Yeah,
you can get a guy like Deshaun Watson, who's literally a guy that can transform your whole entire organization, a transitional talent. Then you go ahead and take that chance. And Joe D, I hope you're listening. If they say 3 first and Sam, or if they say 3 first and the second and Sam, do it.
Do it. Just do it. Just do it. What did you make of the Stafford Goff trade?
Okay, now I had rumors that LA was trying to trade, but I was like, they have no draft capital. There's no way that they could trade for him. But sure enough, they were able to trade 2 future first round picks. Supposedly that Carolina was in the running for the number 8 spot, so I'm really surprised.
Well, 7 vaccines by the time those drafts happen.
Yeah, literally, I'm surprised that Detroit wouldn't have wanted him to go to Carolina. The number 8 pick is kind of big. Yeah, you get 2 future first round picks, but the number 8 pick, you can help build that franchise up right now. That would be 2 top 10 picks. I think essentially that would be for the Lions. Why wouldn't you take that? I mean, I understand in the future. But Dan Campbell, you might not even be there when those picks come around. Most likely, he probably won't be there. So, those picks don't help you. You getting 2 future picks in 3-4 years from now. You should have tried to trade to Carolina. That way, you could have got 2 first-round picks this year to help your squad out. Because in Detroit, they're 2-3 years, you're out of there.
That's crazy.
They don't play that.
That's crazy. Last thing, who do you like? Who do you like Sunday?
I've been going back and forth with this. I think that the injury to Eric Fisher is big, and Swartz not being able to come back. You're looking at Rimmers versus JPP and Barrett. I think they're going to have a field day. It's going to come down to how healthy is Mahomes' toe and his wiggle ability to get out of those sacks from JPP and Barrett. But then it's going to be hard for him to step up in the pocket because you got a guy like Vita Vea coming back, and he looked strong for a guy that hadn't played in 8-9 weeks. For that to be his first game and play 30+ snaps in your first game returning, that's crazy. And that was why Barrett and JPP had a lot of success, because when Aaron Rodgers tried to step up in the middle, he couldn't because Vita Vea was there. So I think it's going to be a really close game. Ultimately, I do believe the talent from Kansas City will be too much. It's going to come down to what Todd Bowles does, right? That first game, he was Todd Bowles. He blitzed every play. He got blitzed every play, and Tyreek Hill went for 200 in the first. Well, you saw versus Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes has that type of, mobility in the pocket like Aaron Rodgers does. He decided to switch it up. He was like, when I blitz, I'm only going to send 5, and I'm going to cover, and I'm going to let my front 4 get after you because we feel like our front 4 is better than your offensive line. Well, will he take that same stance knowing that his defensive line is better than that beat-up Kansas City O-line, rush forward, then sometimes mix it up with 5, but make sure he doubles Tyreek Hill the whole time? If they do that, Tampa Bay's got a great chance to win this game, but I'm still going to take Kansas City. I think it's going to be a close game, but ultimately I believe Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes and his talent will just take them over the top.
I hear everything you're saying, and I've heard you say it. I follow you on Twitter. I know, but I'm afraid to put money down. Not because I'm afraid to bet. I'm afraid because I don't feel confident. Like every scenario you made, they could get to Mahomes early, and you give Brady an inch, he takes a mile. I don't know, man.
I give you that, but the one thing
I agree that you could waffle from day to day.
Yeah. The one thing I will say with Kansas City, no lead is safe. That's the thing. That's why they always have a chance, right? They're down 24-0 last year in the playoffs. They won. I believe they were down by 14 or something like that versus Tennessee, came back and won. Same thing in the Super Bowl. I believe down by 14, came back and won. And the thing is, they come back in the first half. They don't come back at the end of the game. They come back in one quarter. So with that explosion on offense, they're never out of a game. So no lead is safe. So Tampa goes up 14-0. I'm just going to be sitting back, drinking water, saying, hey, this game isn't over yet. Because that's the type of talent this Kansas City offense has.
No, it's drinking water. Okay.
Gotta hydrate, man. Gotta hydrate. I might have a nice drink on Super Bowl Sunday as I'm watching the game. It would have been a long work week by then. I might have a little drink, Seth.
Well, it's weird, and the old question I always ask people: where are you going to be for the Super Bowl? I know where you're going to be. You're going to be right in your house.
Home.
You're going to be home.
People were talking about this earlier, like we're doing Super Bowl party, doing the Super Bowl what? No,
Super Bowl party.
None of that.
and here you couldn't even think about it. There's going to be 1.5 feet of snow, and all said and done. And who's going outside? You're not going outside to see anybody.
Nobody.
I know.
I mean, people might have cabin fever.
There's cabins or what? People on the Twitch streamers are looking at how bad it was this afternoon, and it's brutal.
Yeah, my sister lives in Albany, and she's actually down here too with my family. But she was getting pictures from some of her friends, and it was ridiculous.
Brutal. It's absolutely brutal. It's brutal. Hey, you're the best. Thank you so much for doing this, man. It's great to see you. I know it's a busy week. We'll talk again real soon.
For sure. Appreciate it.
Douzable right here on the show. Did a great job as always, and he is just superb right here on Twitch Sports. So yes, and it is dark. That's not a live camera, Jim. I filmed that 40 minutes before we went to air. So we started the show at 5:30 Eastern time, and I filmed that about 4:50. Right then, and that was the best I could come up with, and there's no secret. There's that is gonna. You were there for live snow. I thought about it. If I had a different camera, I was gonna just put it outside. You can see my car. We flipped the windshield wipers out, and you can barely see them. It's pretty bad. It is definitely pretty bad. I want to remind folks that this is your chance. We're going to be doing this show often, and if you're watching on Twitch Sports, come on over, say hello to my channel. If you can follow and subscribe, we will continue. Shoveling is not until tomorrow morning. There will be no shoveling of the snow tonight. That's not happening. No secret about that. But thanks to the folks at Twitch Sports. We appreciate it as always. And thanks to Caleb. Did a great job moderating all you yim yams. That was great, breaking up into parts. Yeah, I'll do it. I told you. I'll have a podcast. I'll set up a podcast. I'll get going, and I will just shovel away, and that'll be all I need to do, and it'll be that easy. Yes, you're an experienced snow shoveler. Yeah, you guys in Syracuse know how to do it. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. And then what I'll do is when somebody offers to use their snowblower, we'll just do that. Set up a live snow shoveling feed. Ooh, I could totally do that. Hit me up on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Instagram, the underscore is at the end. And we'll be here on Twitch. You can follow this channel and say hello and let us know because also I have the new Discord, and if you go into the chat, you can see the new Discord. We have that as well. So thanks to everybody for putting the show together. We appreciate it as always. And I will say for everybody, be safe this week. This is supposed to be a great week. Super Bowl week. We're supposed to just get really hyped up and ready for everything going on. And I always look forward to that. That's always something that is a big deal. And we look forward to seeing everybody go on there. But Twitch Sports has got some great programming this week, and we will see them as well. There's a link in the Twitch Sports to my Discord. And let's see if we can make something out of the Discord. We can have that as well. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for all the support. We appreciate it. We will see you next time.
All right, back here on Center of Attention. I wanted to dress up. I had to change the outfit for Sekou Smith, former NBA player, and currently with us here on Center of Attention. Sekou, first of all, how are you? Are you safe? Are you good? Are you comfortable? Everybody healthy?
Yeah, man, the family's good. We're here in suburban Atlanta, in Marietta, Georgia, sheltering in place, as they say. Getting to know each other all over again. My wife and the kids and I, 2 in college, came home early from school, so we're getting very acquainted and then figuring out our neighborhood. I had no idea how many neighbors I had until the last 6-7 weeks.
Did you feel any temptation to go bowling or get a haircut?
No bowling, no tattoos. You see, I obviously no haircut.
No tattoos, huh?
No tats. Didn't get nails done. None of that stuff. We've been to the grocery store. We've been to Costco enough times to last us a lifetime. But other than that, it's been really basic, man. It's been an interesting time because you get a chance to slow down right now at a time when we used to going, like crazy. Playoff time, I'm usually on the road. I'm going for 6-7 weeks, and to be home now has been interesting. I think the greatest motivator for anybody is I don't care if it's Pee-wee basketball, whatever. The greatest motivator for anybody is somebody telling you can't do something. Or doubting you or disrespecting you. It's always been a great motivator.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show today, but be safe in Georgia, especially. Because
I'm trying to get a haircut, bro. I just want to get a haircut and shave. I'll be feeling better.
Get your own
Let's go bowling. We'll continue this conversation. We'll go bowling. It'll be fine.
I should have grew my hair out at the time, like a long time ago. I should have started growing my hair. I wouldn't feel so rough.